welcome both Davin and Jill. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
There's a.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Can everybody hear me? All right, that's working. Oh, thank you, Gregory. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today with everyone. Again, my name is Davin Althoff, and I am with the Missouri Department of Agriculture, Division Director of Ag Business Development for the Missouri Department of Agriculture, and it's a privilege to be up here with Jill Wood, the Executive Director of Missouri Ag Small Business Development Authority, and she's going to share some very good programs she has available. I would ask, we have 15 minutes, correct? And are you holding up signs? Okay, can you give me 5, when I'm at 5 minutes, I want to make sure I give Jill enough time to speak to you. We also have a clicker here. I'm going to highlight a couple things. Okay. So again, Davin Althoff, Missouri Department of Agriculture. I'm also a farmer, rancher, raised beef cattle in central Missouri, just south of California, a family operation, very active, involved in that. We also raise some row crops, one of your traditional livestock and crop farmers here in the state of Missouri, and just very honored to have the opportunity to work on behalf of all farmers and ranchers in the state to try to work to add value to Missouri agriculture. So today, what I want to do in my part of the presentation is start out, one, by talking about the strengths of Missouri agriculture. I think when you look at value-added opportunities, I think it's important to take a look at, what are we strong in today? Then I want to take a look at what I see as assets relative to some of our infrastructure that brings value to Missouri agriculture products. And then I'm going to finish up talking about some of the programs that we have. And I'm going to talk high level. I do want to recognize real quick, Christy Miller. She is our program manager, Missouri Grow, and I'm going to highlight that in just a few minutes. I also have John Hensley here on the front row. He works for our program in Domestic International Marketing Program, and we also have Jennifer Cleatherma somewhere around here who also works in that program too. I want to mention them because they work in these programs, and I'm going to talk high level about these programs. So if you want to get into more detail, please catch them following the presentation. There we go. So real quick, a lot of you probably have seen the economic impact that Missouri agriculture has on the state's economy. It is our #1 industry in the state of Missouri. It brings $88 billion in economic impact to the state of Missouri. And I like to look at this slide because there's really truly 4 buckets that create this economic impact. One is production agriculture, crops, livestock, the actual commodities that we grow. The second one I'll point out is your ag input services. This is your co-ops and things that are providing inputs for farmers and ranchers in the state of Missouri. Third, believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize that we have a very strong forestry industry in the state of Missouri, and forest product manufacturing would be that third bucket. But the bucket that I want to really place emphasis on, because this is a value-added conference, is the fourth bucket, and that's the food and related products manufacturing. That's anything that we're doing to add value to the raw products in Missouri agriculture, and that's about 55% of the total economic impact study. So I think it's important for us to look at this slide because we already have some strengths in this area, and you probably heard this morning through Lieutenant Governor Kehoe's presentation that's where we still see some tremendous opportunity. I also want to throw up this slide. When you look at value-added agriculture in Missouri, you have to look at the infrastructure that we have in place. And when you look at the infrastructure we have in place relative to our interstate system in Missouri and the connections that our interstate system has to Chicago, so the likes of Chicago, to Dallas, to Memphis, between Indianapolis and Denver, to Atlanta, we have such a great reach here in terms of the consumer population with our interstate system. You add that onto the fact that we have the 2 largest river systems that converge in St. Louis, and you add to that, we have the 2nd and 3rd largest rail hub in the state of Missouri. There's one component on here that's not up there yet that I hope in 5 to 10 years that we see on this slide, and that's broadband. And I think that is one of the biggest areas I see in my mind for value-added agriculture when it comes to infrastructure is broadband. And that's why Missouri Department of Agriculture, along with many organizations in the state, are putting so much emphasis on broadband, because I think when you look at value-added agriculture, broadband is going to be a huge component relative to infrastructure. So I'm going to jump into some programs that we have in my division at the Department of Agriculture, in the Division of Ag Business Development, and I'm going to turn it over to Jill for her to talk about the MASBDA program that she has. The first program that I'm going to emphasize in my division would be Missouri Grown, and I mentioned the program manager here with us today is Chrissy Miller. Missouri Grown, what it is it is basically connecting producers to consumers and consumers to agriculture. And that's what we work hard on every day. Folks, this is our state brand. This is a brand that you as producers in here, small, medium, or large, have the opportunity to draw attention to your product through this brand. It just so happens it resides in Missouri Department of Agriculture, but this isn't a Missouri Department of Agriculture brand. This is a Missouri agriculture brand. And one of the things that we work hard on every day is to bring awareness to this brand through consumer reach. And so we are working really hard. We just implemented a new website, MissouriGrownUSA.com. And this website is a platform for producers who have product to sell, whether it's meat protein, whether it's jams and jellies, whether it's specialty crops. If you have products to sell and you're wanting to have your products promoted to a consumer base, please come and visit Christy Miller, because we are working really hard to bring awareness to Missouri producers. We have nearly 900 members, just shy of 900 members as a part of this Missouri Grown program, and we're looking hard to grow that. We also are looking hard to reach consumers in our urban populations. We just recently implemented a digital marketing plan that's bringing awareness to our producers that are a part of this program. In last year, in 2019 alone, we had almost just shy of 1 million impressions. It was over 800,000 impressions that was brought forth through the social media campaigns that we do on behalf of Missouri Grown. We have 110,000 reach with our website, and so we're doing some fantastic work of connecting you to the consumer populations through this brand. So please see Chrissy Miller if you have any questions. So that's certainly value added from an agriculture standpoint. The second program I want to talk about is our domestic international marketing program. When I look at value added, you know, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of times we look at value added as processing, product manufacturing, but I also look at the fact that we live in a global market, and the global market provides value added opportunities for Missouri agriculture. And our domestic international team works really hard. We are pushing the ticket to try to have at least 1.5 trade, either inbound or outbound trade missions throughout the year, where we're bringing buyers in from around the globe to connect them to producers like you and the products that you're selling. So our international team is working really hard to bring value to Missouri agriculture by connecting producers to potential clients and buyers around the globe. And how am I doing on time? Okay, so I'm going to wrap up and hand it over to Jill. The final program I would have you check out is our market news program, and that's a value-added program from the standpoint that all the commodities that we sell in the state of Missouri, it's important for producers to have the ability to understand what that value is for the products that you're selling. And our market news program provides that cash documented market price of what products are bringing around the state. So if you're interested in looking at what prices are bringing around the state, please check the market news program out. It's a tremendous value and benefit that we bring from my division. With that, I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm going to pass it over to Jill and let Jill take over.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, my name is, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Jill Wood, and I'm the Executive Director for Missouri Ag and Small Business Development Authority. And we are one of the boards and commissions that's housed within the Missouri Department of Agriculture. We have a 7-board commission that is Senator or Governor appointed and Senate confirmed. And we have some programs for financing for small businesses and farms in the state of Missouri. So we have loan programs, and there's a variety of different loan programs. We started a new down payment loan program in the last year. We have loan guarantee programs. we have grant programs, and we also have tax credit programs. And the tax credit programs are important because they are what funds the grant programs. So our grant programs are value-added agricultural grant programs. And they provide grants for projects that add value to Missouri agriculture. And as you've been here today, you may have heard of the statewide food and beverage process or manufacturing and forestry study, and that was funded by MASBDA. That was a statewide study. You've probably heard of some other ones, like we're doing a statewide study on ports. And these are feasibility studies. They can be marketing plans or business plans. Oh, whoops, I got ahead of myself there. There it is. Grant funds may be used for feasibility studies, marketing plans, and business plans. And we have 2 cycles throughout the year where we accept applications. We accept applications on April 1st is the deadline for funding in July, and then we have a deadline of October 1st for funding in January. And just last week, we met with our board. They interviewed value-added agricultural applicants for the grant. And out of 14 interviews, we funded 9. And it was a variety of projects ranging from very small projects to very large projects. So we can see anything from elderberry research to these large statewide studies for food manufacturing. The one thing I recommend, I have a staff member here today as well. Marla Young, one of our loan officers, is in the back of the room, and she and Christy have a table outside. And what I always recommend people do, if you have an idea, if you think that you want to find out if something is feasible, I recommend you call our staff and just talk about your idea. We have a lot of experience in kind of pointing you in the right direction, people you can call, other studies that have been done that we can kind of maybe give you a little guidance and point you in a direction in which maybe we can add some value to some agricultural products in the state of Missouri. So that kind of sums up my programs.
Thank you, Davin and Jill. I think we can take a few questions if there's any questions specific to these programs, because then we're going to, after that, we're going to move on to the panel. And Davin, you're also going to join us for the panel. So if you maybe have any questions specific for MASBDA or the specific programs, please.
We're from Iowa, you know, and I would love your help. Do you guys just operate in Missouri? You guys are not thinking of expanding to other states or just the Midwest, at least, since it's very similar?
So for us, our projects are Missouri-based projects. That's what we fund, so it has to be Missouri-based. But I serve on a national board of ag financing programs, and if you want to reach out, I have a contact in Iowa that if you want to do something similar, I could at least get you in touch with him so that you could discuss, and he may be able to point you into a direction. So I meet with those people on an annual basis, and as a board member, we have quarterly meetings. So it's kind of a meeting of the minds for small agriculture financing across all states. So let me know, and I can help you out.
Thank you.
And if it's okay, Gregory, I do want to point out one more thing. I mentioned I wanted to keep things very high level, and so please, if you have a chance, visit Christy Miller. I didn't highlight, we do have some grant programs available through my division as well that you could visit Christy Miller about, and she'd be happy to visit with you. We have a grant called Urban Grant. We have a grant called the Food Desert Grant, and then we have a Farmers Market Promotion Grant. So if you have a chance, you have interest in visiting about some grant opportunities. I didn't mention that because I want to make sure that we had enough time. But please visit with Christy Miller afterwards, and she'd be happy to discuss what those grants are for and who would qualify.
Thank you, Davin. Maybe Christy Miller from the Missouri by Missouri program. Raise your hand one more time. And Marla Young, you're in the back with MASBDA loan officer, and John, you're with the International Domestic Marketing. So thank you so much to everyone from the Missouri Department of Agriculture for being here. I think we can thank our speakers, and we're going to move on to the panel discussion. Thank you, Jill. All right.